Where are we? What are we doing? We're doing this. Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah. Anyway. Sup? You would have loved it. I had like a Mission Impossible kind of like 60 seconds to start my show. And, I was like, I can handle that. And I didn't even look up at the screen. I just got her done and showed up on time with 2 seconds to spare. I'm ready! No, I'm not joking. 2 seconds to spare. And it said showtime. And I went, click. Oh, let's go! No, that was fake optimism. That one was. I have completely fake optimism right now for the Raiders. Concerned. Woo! Often imitated, never duplicated. That fool with no hair that shouts like Ric Flair. Woo! Woo! The R8RBEAR! I'm Raider! Alright. Alright. I like to act like someone else is making the noise. I'd be like, we're gonna do that all night. Maybe. What's up, fam? Welcome to the show, R8RBEAR Live. Your host, here to give you these tasty bits of Raider Nation news and notes. But first, Tradish! R8RBEAR Live! First comment. MVP tonight goes to that Moji making son of a gun, the two-time champion of the world, Mark Vargas. What's up, Mark? Welcome to the show, brother. Always there for R8RBEAR and retaining the dual championships. What do you think of the hooks, bro? Don't make fun, okay? They're in the baby stages. It's getting there. They're small, but they're fierce. Second place, silver medal, Big Dog. Bro. I don't want to talk about potty training. I'm not trying to embarrass you. If you're going to be around the show and you're going to start winning medals, you got to clean up after yourself. That was the only dog joke I had on short notice and off the top of my head. What do you mean you can tell? Third place, my bronze medal goes to Ramiro. Woo! Cash flow. Castro! That's my guy right there with the dirty, thieving, filthy, stealing brother of his taking his nickname and making it his email. It's ridiculous. Does your brother know he's been the butt of our joke for like, it's like 6-7 years, something like that? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the show, my YouTubers. Hey, salute right back to Tony Shefford. What's up, Tony? Welcome to the show. Appreciate you. An honorable mention to my guy, John the Lion Leon. Now, Facebook! Beginning to become something of a regular thing. Your gold medalist tonight, Carlos Boykins. From the Boykins clan. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR Bear, my guy Carlos Boykins. You know, when I do that for you, you got to have like your mama and your grandmama there one day. They'll be impressed. I mean, who's this guy talking about? Talking about the Boykins like this. Like, with reverence. Second place, silver medal, Chris Strong. Now, no pun intended, but that is a strong name, brother. And I mean that seriously. It's like, if you do enough research, and I'm sure you have, most people who are strong or Armstrong, that's another one. Your lineage, man, it goes back to dinosaurs, man. It's I had a friend that was an Armstrong, and he was like finding stuff, from like the 1800s. Your clan goes blah blah blah. Crazy. Let us see here, Mr. Strong. Now, our third place finisher, Lucky Pace! What's up, LP? Welcome to the show. Always there for R8RBEAR, and he does have that sultry, sexy voice. It goes with his initials, LP. I think that's cool. I'm telling you. If he ever just wants to go do well with the ladies, you just bring that up. It's going to work. It plays, as I like to say. Honorable mention to my good friend Mike Henderson. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. And an often coming now viewer, a good friend now of mine of the show, Joe Holman. What's up, Joe? Good to see you, brother. Welcome, welcome. Mike, right back at you, brother. Raider Paul said, Raiders! Raider Paul? He said that well. What's up, brother? Welcome to the show. GT at 6. Raider Paul, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but that's my first topic tonight. But first, let me just get this out of the way. Consider a subscription to R8RBEAR family page. It's just $5 a month, and you can cancel at any time, but you won't want to. Because of what we do for charities all over the globe. We started in California, we moved to Arizona, but we've been all over the world now these last few years, really doing a lot of good. And we really appreciate you all for that. And of course on YouTube, it's totally free. So if you're on YouTube, if you really would, please take a moment, just reach down there, hit that like, hit the subscribe, hit the little bell if there's a bell to hit, and it will alert you to when my show is going to be on again. And I would really, really appreciate it, because I'm trying to get my YouTube presence up, but only because I feel like a lot of other Raider shows suck. And I'm just being honest, okay? Just a lot of them suck, okay? They're too serious, or they try to be funny and they're not funny, or their information's whack and they're only giving you stuff off ESPN, stuff like that. Especially when I saw some girl, she was like 13 years old, she's on YouTube. She's 13 years old, okay? She's been on there for like a couple of years. She's got 32 million views and 1.6 million followers. You got to be kidding me. And when and all she does is dance. And when I saw that, I was immediately like, okay, now I don't really care that I haven't garnered this huge following yet. Because if I have to do stuff like that and that's what gets your attention, I don't want your subscriptions. Jesse Parker, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Eric Bell, always there for R8RBEAR. Oh, Eric. I'm sorry, brother. One time for Eric Bell's mom. She's been called home. That was for your mom, brother. Send her off to heaven, right? Raleigh Fingers, Bear. That was one of my favorite Oakland Athletics, okay? Raleigh Fingers was a bad dude. Dennis Eckersley did that too for a while. No, Eric, I understand. Don't worry don't explain yourself, brother. It's all good. Dwayne A. Turner, Bear, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Okay, so here's what's going on with Ashton Genty. They're talking about it. They're bringing it up. I found it like a month ago, and I'm not trying to brag. It's what I'm supposed to do, you know what I mean? But I did a lot of searching online, and before so many of the comments were coming out, reporters were starting to say that they caught Pete Carroll basically saying, if I get a shot at Ashton Ginty, done deal. He said it like that, like it was a no-brainer, that he's already made up his mind. He's seen the video. He knows what he can do. If he's, excuse me, I'm sorry, hiccups. If he's there at 6, he's going to pull the trigger. Now, I try to fashion myself as a guy that brags about the fact that I usually get these kind of predictions right. Now, have I missed? Of course. You know what I mean? I can't be perfect. If I was perfect, it would seem like I was a Hollywood plant or something, or Kevin Hart. But I know that was low. But the truth is, if you search hard enough, you can find little bits. Because oftentimes one reporter gets it, puts it out there, and then no one else touches it. Because they don't know the story, they weren't there, they can't really guarantee its authenticity, so they don't report it. So that one guy, say with like RaiderImage.com or, R&B Nation, or S&B Nation, Silver and Black Nation. I can go on and on. There's a whole bunch of them. But the point is, Bleacher Report's one of my favorites. I actually knew a guy when Bleacher Report first came into existence. Okay, there was no Bleacher Report. And then when it first came into existence, a friend of mine asked me if I wanted in on it, and I said no. That might have been a bad idea, Bear. I missed the boat on that one, but yeah, they're great for information. So if you go to them, you'll find, though, that there's a lot now of Ashton Ginty talk. If that's really how they feel, would they be letting everyone know that? I mean, you're at 6, but you can't really control what's going to happen at 6. Anything could happen in those first 5 picks. Another team that wants Ashton, hearing you talking like this, could jump up to 4 or 3 and take him, thinking, why not? Even though it's a jump and it's nuts to take a running back that high, why not take the risk? Because the Raiders think he's the real deal, and maybe he is. And we've got a lot of guys, scouts, that are saying, look, man, this guy's going to be one of those, he's going to be good. And I feel like if he's there and he feels that strongly about it, he should do it. But I'm starting to wonder if it's a smokescreen. In other words, they're talking about him in the hopes that maybe it causes someone to come up and want to get him. Maybe even give the Raiders a later first-round pick and a second and a fifth, that kind of thing for their number 6. Something like that, where we're being sneaky and making draft moves. Because I could see Spytek and Pete Carroll doing that. They're not new to the game, okay? They know the moves at the poker table, and they're not going to give away a tell. And I just feel like that's a tell you're giving away. Why would it be helpful for you going into this draft to let everyone know what you want? It almost never pans out unless it's the number 1 pick. If you got the number 1 pick, you can say over and over again, this is who I'm going to get, and it doesn't matter because there's anything anybody can do about it. But number 6, I'm starting to wonder if they're bluffing. Mark Vargas, Bear, Quinn Ewers was in for a visit with the Raiders. I am aware of that. I actually have the list of the other people. I'm pulling it up now. That were in for visits, because the list is pretty impressive, and we'll go over that in just a minute too. But I just want to go back to the Ginty thing one more time just for a second and just say this. If it's Ginty, I really don't understand the game to let so many people in on it. So if we do pick him, I'm going to look back at that next year and wonder, is that the way to go? If they target someone next year at 9, let's say, and they say, yeah, we want Mike McGillicuddy at 9. Well, you going to do that again? Tell the whole world what you want? Why would you do that? And so I'm kind of hoping, this is going to sound weird, but I'm kind of hoping they don't go with Ginty. Just because otherwise that just doesn't seem like you're playing good draft tactics, let's say. Chris Strong is sending his condolences, Eric. Appreciate you, Chris. Let's see. Jalen Milroe was also in for Visit Bear. That is correct. And I think that's real. Because if you really look at what's going on with Milroe, physique, incredible. Strength, amazing. Speed, elite. But does he have enough starts under his belt? No. And does he have mechanics that not bad mechanics, but solid mechanics? No, his mechanics are a little bit organic from his athleticism. You know what I mean? Like a kid playing street football, shaking the ball around when, obviously you shouldn't do that because if someone hits your hand, you're going to fumble. So he has to get little things. That's not what he does. I'm just saying that's an example. Because I can't say what they scouted, but I think that some of these scouts are basically saying there's little parts of his game, little parts of his actual just quarterbacking that they have to tweak with him. But it can be super important because, remember, it's your muscle memory. It's your body language. If you're a free throw shooter, you're just used to doing it a certain way, and it's just something you've developed comfort with. So now if a coach comes over and goes, no, make sure you hold it with two hands first until the last second, and then curl your right elbow and throw it in. If you struggle and you're in trouble and there's a game on the line and you're really worried, you're going to revert to how you shot the ball before because you have more faith in what was your mechanics that you have trusted. You see what I'm saying? And as a quarterback, you see that all the time where they have a guy come in, he's a one-hander, and the coaching staff tries to teach him, run it with both hands on the ball. It doesn't matter if you move it around a lot now. You've got two hands on it, and they can't do it. They'll get under pressure, and then suddenly that left hand will start to drop. You know what I mean? And they have to work those things out of Milroe. If they feel like they can do it, I feel like Milroe as a second or a third round pick would be nice. Because even though like Jackson Dart and some of these other quarterbacks that are in there, Quinn Ewers, may look like the higher rated quarterback right now, and they are, I think that Milroe has a higher ceiling, and there are some team situations where the guy with the higher ceiling makes more sense because you want to bring him in and give him a year or two, maybe a solid 2 years of really developing, going to practice, learning from the other pros, seeing games, going through the roller coaster of wins and losses, seeing quarterbacks struggle and succeed, and then bring him back at the end of year 2. And if your quarterback's struggling, maybe you bring him in mid-season in year 2 or year 3, you commit to him. And you cut the other quarterback or trade him like we did with Derek Carr, and you move on to Milroe. So we could see something like that. R8RBEAR, what do you think the Raiders are doing or their direction? Anthony Contreras, welcome to the show, brother. Our direction is simple. We want to play punch-you-in-the-mouth defense with big corners and big safeties, strong linebackers, and every guy on the team. I don't know if you guys have noticed this. Some of you have because we talked about it on my last show. But the guys that he's bringing in, Jeremy Chin, for example, Alandis Robertson, these guys are bar bouncers. These guys are guys that stick you. They don't just hit you. They come in to make you not want to catch the ball again. They make you want to look over your shoulder if you feel like they're coming to tackle you. You know what I mean? Just bruisers. Almost all these guys we've been bringing in have a reputation for playing that way or are physically suited to play that way, which Trayvon Merrick was not. Trayvon Merrick was always going to be an outfielder, like a baseball outfielder. He was never going to smash anyone. He was never going to be instinctually there so fast that he could get interceptions. Could he knock a ball down here and there? Sure. Could he get there and defend plays and knock balls and disrupt the pass pattern so the guy can't catch the ball? Absolutely. But physical presence? No. He was never going to be that. Where now with Jeremy Chin, you have both. You have a guy that can make plays on the ball, but also can lay the wood down. And you need that. You need guys like that in the other teams, eyes, they don't want to see that guy on a tackle play. you want that, and we have that now in spades, and it's going to be nice. So Anthony, the direction, hard-nosed defense, a running game. Again, another reason why they might be completely selling out and saying it's going to be Ashton, because maybe they just feel like the first 5 picks are just going to be other stuff and that no one's going to trust to use a pick of that high a value and that high a cost on an Ashton Jeanty. When in reality, if you look at what we have, that's how Pete Carroll wants to attack. So he wants a Marshawn Lynch. He wants a banger, but with speed, an all-around guy. Because then when you have that guy, you can do everything else. All the play actions passes work. All the passes that are deep work. The run plays work. The draws. Everything works if your running back is deadly. So they're going to do that mainly. Hardcore defense, very good running game. Thank you, Stephen Shaw. Much love to you and everyone else that's wishing Eric Bell well. I really appreciate that. Got a new black cast on this leg yesterday. use a couple Raider Bear stickers for it for the rest of the year. Nice, Chris. Oh, on my page on Facebook, you have to go on Facebook. Are you on Facebook? Yeah, you're on Facebook. Just on Facebook, just go back to the page after the show. You'll see my my in-mail box for Raider Bear Family page. Just go in there and send me your address. Scotty Lutz, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Last night, my Florida Gators basketball won the national championship. Yeah, that was nice, brother. And congrats. All day, Eric. All day. Mason Graham was in for a visit, Bear. Yes. Mark Barty is going to go over the whole list. He's going to be able to go over the list before I do. So let me go ahead and get into this list here. So Luther Burden. Luther Burden is an extremely exciting wide receiver. Great speed, great hands, and he also has what to me is one of those things that separates wide receivers. He has twitch. Excuse me, guys. You know what I'm talking about. That movement in his hips that can make a guy go, whoa, for a second, and then he's gone. Lots of guys have speed, but they're not successful because only speed doesn't work. Now, speed works, but it can't be the only thing. If that's your only thing, you're not going to be a 1 or a 2, you know what I mean, or a great receiver. You know what I mean? So, like Hunter Renfrow, for example, Hunter Renfrow did it with twitch, great route running skills, in other words, incredible feet, and he had burst. He does not have speed. He is not fast. He has burst. He comes out of slow movement where you're slowing down and coming to a stop. He comes out of that and comes to top speed in 2 steps. Most guys can't do that. If you've got a guy that can do it in 2 steps, usually it's because he's got like 4.3 speed. Whereas we know, obviously, Hunter Renfrow does not have 4.3 speed, but he has burst. And so he has that kind of, I would even equate it to what Howie Long used to do for us. Howie Long was not the biggest or the strongest Raider. He was big and he was strong, but what separated him was his get-off, his burst. From his position where he got down and he waited, and as soon as that ball was snapped, he was off the ground faster than everyone else, both his teammates and the offensive line oftentimes. And then that allowed him to get inside of a guy's shoulder and make those creases, get in there, and get sacks. Now, that's not what this is about, but the guy has burst. Hunter Renfrow has that. This kid, Luther Burden, has twitch and burst. If you go back and you look at his combine video and what he did in the shuttle cones, fast. And when you have shuttle cone speed, it means you're good at going, stop, go. You know what I mean? And suddenly 1, 2, and you're at top gear. And he has that. So I'm interested in him a lot. Okay, and then obviously we talked about Jalen Milroe, the quarterback from Alabama. Quinn Ewers of Texas. Now, personally, Quinn Ewers is the pick, in my opinion. I think Quinn Ewers is the pick. If Quinn Ewers is there at 6, I pull the trigger. Because he's good enough to play right now. He's big and strong enough to play right now. He's smart enough to play right now. But what holds him back? He's a little reckless. If you think back to the kid that went to the Steelers, Kenny Pickett, it was just a couple years ago, so I know a lot of you probably remember that name. Wild hair, you know what I mean? He looked like he could, like he was going to run all over the field like Burt Reynolds and Ken Stabler. But a little bit of a gambler, a little bit too cocky, maybe a little bit too confident in himself, and so he made enough mistakes that the Pittsburgh Steelers gave up on him. I kind of see the same thing in Quinn Ewers, but with Ewers, and I know most of you don't know this, some of you may know it from my show, I've reported this in the past, but Ewers' previous year to this year, his interceptions went down by a third. And that was only because his coaching staff went to him after a win. And they said, yeah, you got the win. You threw 3 interceptions. You want to get a deal in the NFL, that's not going to do it. Because your interceptions affect their decisions as much as your touchdowns. And that's just facts. It used to be, how many touchdowns did he throw? You turn over the ball, statistically, you can get a whole bunch of touchdowns, you're going to lose the game. Because you make turnovers in crucial moments. The other team gets opportunities. They score. They win. Suddenly you lost by 33-31. You know what I mean? You can't have that. And I just think that he saw that, he measured up and said, I got this. And then the very next season, his quarterback rating went skyrocketed from something in the 50s to something in the low 70s. His interceptions went from, I think it was like 19 to like 4. It was a crazy, disparity. It's not that exact number, but it was very good. Let's see. Thank you, Tim Newport. Appreciate that. I'd be happy with Ginty, but if Shador is available at 6, I think we have to pull the trigger. Dustin, there's an argument being made that Shador would be available late in the first. That even though they rate him as a number 1 quarterback, they don't want to get into Deion Sanders territory where he's making so much money he loses his mind and maybe gets too cocky and too arrogant and doesn't practice hard enough and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I just think poker moves like that, like my man Dwayne A. Turner just said, are going on. You know what I mean? And they always do. Every year they downplay guys. You didn't hear anyone say anything negative about Shador Sanders until the season ended. And then suddenly the draft is around the corner and everybody's like, well, he does this. And oh, well, what about this? And he has to clean this up. And oh, what about this? And nobody had anything to say about any of that when he was playing and he looked great. Chris Strong, couldn't agree more, sir. Appreciate the love. Anna Diaz Rincon in the house, my first supporter ever. Hi, love. We're bringing in Jackson Dart for a visit tomorrow. I did hear that. I did see that, Tana Moku. Kind of excited about that, but kind of torn about it. Would they take him at 6? No. So that means they would have to trade down and then hope he was still there and then maybe lose him and Ginty. Because what if they trade down to, say, 16? I've heard Jackson Dart as high as the top 10. If he goes 8 or 9, there goes your plans. And we're back to being the Raiders struggling in the draft and drafting back simply because everyone good is gone and we don't want to pay someone overpaid that, doesn't deserve that high of a second-round pick, that sort of thing. And I just don't want to get caught up in that. I feel like we have a lot of moves we still have to make. So there are fans who watch my show, and I'm sure there are some here now, who think, Bear, trade back. Who's really worth the 6th pick anyway? It's a ton of money. Just trade back. You don't have to get Ginty. There's at least 8 or 9. I'm not exaggerating. There is at least 8 or 9 running backs in this draft that scouts are saying all have a chance to be elite running backs. Not just good. Really, really good. We could, in say 5-6 years from now, we might look back at this draft as one of the best running back drafts in history. Not just last year, or not just this year, but ever. It'll be one of the best ever, I think, personally. Because I'm kind of, after looking at the tape, I kind of agree with the scouts. I mean, this is a running back laden draft, so why not trade back? I'm making the argument for the trade back people. The only reason I say no is because Pete Carroll's not here for trade back. Trade back means you're trying to get extra picks, some on the cheap, trying to find stars in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. Got no problem with that, okay? The issue is Pete Carroll is in win now mode, and we're only giving him 2 years. It's not like if Pete Carroll was 40 and he said, we're in win now mode, and then we were all drafting back and the team drafted back after he said that and everything, we wouldn't care. We would just say, hey, you know what? Pete Carroll may have wanted to win right now, but now he's looking at the draft and the way it's panning out, and he's thinking, amass more picks and have a higher likelihood of getting a guy in the building that's going to have an effect and stick and be a even maybe a star for the team. If you get in 7 guys, the odds of getting 2 or 3 stars out of that are very low. Whereas if you can bring in 12 guys, now finding 4 out of that crop of guys you brought in that could be studs and starters, now a little bit higher possibility. Still very, odds are against it. It's just hard to find guys that are real elite players, find enough of them to get on one team and really make a run. Xavier Beltran, the NFL is hearing things from executives that someone grabbing Milroe in the first or else he wouldn't have been invited to the draft. Xavier Beltran, welcome to the show, brother. Great profile picture. Great. Look at the baby. That's cute. How exactly do I want to answer what you said? I feel like you're correct, but I also feel like we both, you and I, have to remember that some of that is thrown out there to keep people talking about everything. You know what I mean? Could he still be a top 10 pick? Could he end up falling into the second round? Could he actually be a high third round pick? Because there's so many other guys that are in the top. There's 11 quarterbacks. You can make an argument. I don't think there's that many that are good enough to be starters. But you could make an argument there are 11 quarterbacks in this draft that could become starters. Now, you remember... Oh, God, I hate when I can't remember a guy's name because I'm trying to like make a comparison for you. But you remember the Polynesian quarterback that we had that we took from the Titans? Okay, just recently he was with the Falcons, and now he's a free agency again. And then he ended up with another team. While a lot of people thought we would bring him back. Now, whoever wants to type his name in, go ahead. Then I'll admit that I couldn't remember that name, and it's embarrassing. But you need that guy. And that guy, I think there's like, of the 11 or 12 quarterbacks, I'd say 6 or 7 of them are like that guy. Where they look like Levin or Levi, the guy that went to the Titans. Where he's got the build, he's got the wins, he's got the cannon arm, he's good looking, he speaks well, and then, wow, womp womp. And they clearly need more time. Mark Vargas said the short pass is what Milroe needs to work on. From what I understand, it's a lot more than that. It's the short pass, it's accuracy on the short pass, not throwing it behind or too low or too high. He has some accuracy issues there. But I don't care. I don't care. There's no such thing as a quarterback we're going to pull out of there that's perfect. They can do absolutely everything perfect. Get them in here, they'll be perfect. You know what I mean? That doesn't exist. Now, does it exist? Yes. But can you see that from guys coming out of college? No, because it doesn't matter how good they are in college. Look at Vince Young. I use Vince Young as my example all the time because you can't out-argue the Vince Young argument. The guy was 6-something, 200-something, fit and strong, incredibly, as fast as some wide receivers, huge arm, huge charisma. All his teammates liked him, respected, spoke well, doesn't get in trouble off the field, had it all. Went to the NFL. Putting foots in him. Okay, Vince Young's most notable play was how he got into a fight in a strip club on security camera. That's the most notable yards Vince Young ever got. Was running in a strip club in the back in the kitchen, like fighting security and stuff. It was embarrassing. Look it up. I gotta say, I'm gonna miss Jack Jones. He sure missed some plays. Well, you're gonna miss Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs. See, we're not talking about that because we're so caught up with the offensive line, and if we're gonna get Ashton Genty, the running back, and Bear, what about Milroe? Is he gonna come in and blah 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 blah? Hey guys, our two best cover corners left in free agency. Our starting safety left in free agency. Now, we replaced him with Jeremy Chin. We brought in a cornerback from Green Bay, Eric Stokes, who I happen to like a lot. Physical and fast, smart corner. We still have Jacorian Bennett, blazing speed. His year from his rookie to his first was a drastically good learning curve. Did Jacorian Bennett still make mistakes? Yes. But if you watch the video from his rookie season to his year one, he was incredible. The improvement from rookie to year one was incredible. His recognition of routes, his recognition of what the wide receiver was trying to trick him with, all that sort of stuff. Understanding switches when we would audible on defense and move him to a zone instead of a man. Things like that. He picked all of that up where he had none of that in year one. In year two, got it all. And still got burned sometimes, still made mistakes, but nowhere near as many. The NFL is hearing things. Yeah, I answered that. You're welcome, Anthony Contreras. Jesse Parker, I appreciate the love, brother. Chin is a disciplined Carl Joseph, a ball hawk that hits hard. Yes, and Chris, I think that he's going to be the linchpin of all of this. Obviously, I think Max Crosby is obviously the best defensive player we have on the team. Now, that could change if Chin comes in and just lets it loose. You know what I mean? Puts foots in people. And if he does that, I mean, we may have to look at it because I just feel like Jeremy Chin's going to come in and kill it. I mean kill it. because he's going to have responsibilities and freedom to do things in a way that he didn't with Washington. How do I know that? Because Pete Carroll said it himself when he came through the door that he's going to trust the kid. He said that. Have you looked at the tape on the guy? And if you look at Pete Carroll's resume, his defensive back guru style of coaching goes way back, way back. His first few jobs that he cut his teeth in football coaching was as defensive backs coach. And then if you look back at the Legion of Boom, where were they dominant? It was in the secondary. The linebackers were nice. The defensive line was nice. But it was the safeties and the corners that were shutting things down. And I think he's going to bring that to the Raiders. And I'm excited. Scotty Lutz, I'm feeling incredible about our Golden State Warriors in the town. They're putting it on them tonight. Bouncing back from a bad loss. And I think that with them in the playoffs, all bets are off. You know what I mean? The Warriors can win anything in the playoffs. Bear! KB, my good friend, all the way from the land of whiskey and crumpets. Check it in. I really appreciate you, brother. Kenny Blair, you keep a smile on my face. You're always liking my stuff and commenting and seeing the show, and I really appreciate the love. Joseph Bear, can you give me a shout out to my little nugget? Tomorrow is her birthday. Yay, yay! Raiders! Our little nug. Remember how many times we went live and she would come on and like crawl over your shoulder and look at me and go, "Hi, Bear," all embarrassed. Love her to death. I don't know if she's gotten the stuff we sent her already, but we're sending some stuff for her. I don't know if it arrived yet, but yeah, we always thinking about your little girl. Arnie Garza, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. Appreciate the love. Stephen Marchand, always there for Raider Bear. Mark Vargas said, I don't want to trade back. I want to make it clear. I'm not saying either answer is wrong. Because if we traded back, then you are bringing in a lot more bodies, and we could still look at free agency to fit holes and trades where we aren't able to do it with our amassed picks. So because you're picking a lot of amassed picks, or usually lower round picks, then the odds of getting stars goes down, but it doesn't go to zero. So to me, you always have better odds to trade back, get a gluttony of picks, and then really go through those guys and see if you find a few diamonds in the rough. I mean, look at Hunter Renfrow. If you put Hunter Renfrow in a draft without any idea of how he was going to play, you're drafting him in the 4th or 5th round. Whereas the way he played for us that one particular season before he got hurt, when he had like an all-star season, had 103 catches. I don't forget how many touchdowns, but it was good. He was a red zone ninja. He showed footwork where literally no one could cover him. If he got a route right and he hit you with one of these and one of these, you were done. And, and back to the rumors about him being potentially coming back to the club. I think they're looking at that because it's an easy fit. They could just walk him back into another simple contract like the one he did with us last time. But I don't know if going backward is the answer. And to me, that's always what you're doing if you're bringing back guys that have left the roster. Once a guy leaves the roster, it opens a roster spot. Now, whoever that guy was, no matter how much you loved him, do you want to bring in someone less than that guy that you lost? No, you want to bring in someone that's as good or better. So if we know there are free agents out there and guys coming in this draft that will absolutely be better physical specimens and have a higher likelihood of giving you a successful career than Hunter Renfrow, who, let's remember, is not a kid. He's already got a few years under his belt. He's not old, but he's by far not a child. He's not young. And he's going to be going out against, the last 2-3 years crop of younger, fast, strong DBs. I don't like it. I don't like it. If we're going to bring in another linebacker, for example, I want someone better than Divine Diablo. I want someone better than him. I'm not saying that guy wasn't good. He was good. But I want someone with more upside than him. You know what I mean? And he was good. He became good. It was like the whole thing like with Malcolm Kuhn, same sort of thing. Question, who is the biggest winner on our current roster after free agency? Who is the biggest winner? I would say the pick with Jeremy Chin, because people knew Jeremy Chin could play, but he wasn't featured by Washington the way he will be with us. I think that he will be featured. I think that he will become a star with us because he'll be given a little bit more wiggle room with the defensive mind trust that we're going to have in there now with Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll working their magic. I think some really great football could come out of that kid. Let's see. Let's be realistic and say that the team has not been the same since they were in Oakland. Vegas sucks. No home field advantage. Vegas should not have anything more than for the gamblers. Vegas should not have anything more than for the gamblers. Okay, so Kim, I love you, girl. How you doing? Welcome to the show. I've always liked that picture. I got to say this to you, Kim. There are other teams that have lost their home court advantage. The number one team that's mocked the most for this is the Dallas Cowboys, because you have other teams that face them come in and amass as much or more fans than them. They get embarrassed routinely, especially in the playoffs. It's a product of today's NFL, where they want NFL games and the stadium that you visit to be a weekend event, almost like a vacation. They want you to go Friday, Saturday, and Sunday catch the game and stay around all the restaurants and shopping mall and just all the gear you can buy and stuff like that. And they want you to do that there on Friday and on Saturday, and then wake up Sunday morning from your hotel, pack all your stuff, throw it in your car or send it to the airport or wherever you do, and catch the game and then go home and have this whole encompassing experience. When you do that, you price out the little guy fan that was willing to go to all the games if the tickets were $75 to $150, a ticket. Now, you're talking about quadruple that for cheap seats. And so when you did that, you took a cleaver and you just went whoosh to a huge section of former Raider fans who are getting kind of disrespected by some Raider fans who are saying they quit. You don't know their story. There's a lot of Raider fans that they quit because they were hurt. They were a part of Oakland. They grew up there. I was born there. You know what I mean? Some of them worked in Oakland, and really related to the Raiders in Oakland and working there and that love. And you lost that once already. We know the Los Angeles experience. And then they come back to Oakland and then you do it again. And the only problem I have with that is that it's defensible. Oakland has collapsed. Okay? I was born and raised there. If anybody's going to defend Oakland, it's me, and I won't. It has collapsed. Now, that's not on the people of Oakland. In other words, I'm not saying, crime's out of control and homelessness like every other idiot says. There's still massive parts of Oakland that are wonderful, okay? The problem is that everyone above them that can fix the problem is corrupt. And as long as that's the case, you never get anything fixed. All right, let's get back to the list now. Cam Miller, quarterback, North Dakota State. I thought that was interesting. That's a late round guy. That's someone that might be that not exciting pick that you guys see at the draft when we get to the 4th round, 5th round. Maybe Cam Miller, North Dakota State quarterback, is the guy we pull the trigger on. Maybe the Cam Ewers is just to take a look. Maybe Jalen Milroe is just to take a look, and then maybe we pull the trigger on Cam Miller. Running back Caleb Johnson, Iowa, love it. Running back Ashton Jeanty, Boise, love it. Wide receiver Jalen Noel, Iowa State, good hands, good speed, not elite, but good. Tackle Charles Grant of William and Mary, gonna be honest, don't know anything about him. Tackle Will Campbell, LSU, I know a little bit. Will Campbell is huge. I can tell you that he's got good footwork and he's huge. That's all I can really tell you. I don't have his numbers. Okay, here we go. Offensive line, Caleb Rogers comes highly regarded, Texas Tech. Inside linebacker, Jalen Walker, Georgia. That's a fit. If we could get him somewhere in the 4th as a 4th or 5th round pick, that would be a get. Teddy Buchanan, Cal. Now, the Cal Bears are my college team. Everyone stop laughing. Look, I'm not one of these guys that just roots for Alabama because they win all the time, or Florida, or whoever else it is, okay? I'm a Cal Bear fan, okay? Proud. They lose, I don't care. When they win, right on. And then I can probably not expect another win for another month or two, but or a season or two. But I love my Cal Bears. So I would say Teddy Buchanan, inside linebacker. He's a little bit undersized, but I think that that's kind of the trend right now is you want a linebacker that's 235, 245, not very big as far as playing the run, but as far as running with tight ends, being able to at least stay with wide receivers in their initial routes, that's the kind of linebacker he would be. Let's see, edge rusher, Oladejo. I should know more about him. He's a UCLA guy. Usually the California guys I know more. I'm only familiar with him, although I can't pronounce his name at all. Oladejo. I don't know his story. I just know UCLA is very high on him. Cornerback Zay Frazier, UTSA. Don't know anything about him. Cornerback Benjamin Morris, Notre Dame. Cover guy. Will go probably third round. Again, that's Benjamin Morrison, Notre Dame, and then cornerback Will Johnson of Michigan. Will Johnson of Michigan is going to be a good corner in the NFL. He's going to be good. I don't have any reservations with Will Johnson. Physical guy. It's going to be nice. Okay, strong. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, strong safety and free safety. Okay. Strong safety Malachi Starks of Georgia, and strong safety Nick Emenwari, South Carolina. I haven't caught that name. And Malachi Starks of Georgia. Malachi Starks of Georgia, I'm familiar with. Great speed. Could be good for us. Again, another safety prototype of the future of safeties in the league. Okay, let me read this to you real quick. The Las Vegas Raiders recently cut Jack Jones, meaning they will be without their two starters in 2024. Nate Hobbs is the other guy they mentioned. The 2025 NFL Draft will be crucial for the position group, and near the top of the heap is highly touted Michigan corner Will Johnson, a blue chipper. He faced injuries his final year in Ann Arbor, and so they may have pause with that. So they think that Will Johnson is a pure-blood cornerback, going to be a cover guy, going to be legit, but he had some injury problems in that last season, and so they're saying there's some question marks. But try to remember, there's always question marks. You know what I mean? They always want to do that. Yes, Tanamoku, Marcus Mariota, thank you. Jesse, thank you. Okay, and everyone else that said Marcus Mariota, thank you. But Tanamoku, I saw yours first, so I'm just going to go from here. So there's an idea that a lot of these 11 or 12 quarterbacks are Marcus Mariota types. They'll trick you. In other words, they have the size, they can run, they have an arm, all those things, but it's up here and here. And not with all of them. With some of them, it's their heart. Are they going to stay in the pocket? With some of it's their head. Are they going to force balls or make bad decisions, etc., etc.? Is kind of the rap I'm hearing that a lot of these other late quarterbacks are getting. Here's the other part. Johnson is a long, lean corner with elite foot quickness and change of direction fluidity. His limited long speed will create questions about his man coverage, reliability in the NFL, but having him play off coverage with his eyes on the ball as a zone scheme wide cornerback could allow him to make impactful plays more often because his physical skill set leans toward that. And that's kind of what we lean toward as a defense. We like to look man a lot, and then we drop into zones. And if we do that, who's another team that used to do that? The Seattle Seahawks and that devastating defense they had. They would show you something, show you something else, show you something, show you something else. So if we get Will Johnson, to me, the only thing that we would have to worry about is keeping him healthy. Appreciate that, Kib. I saw Bennett make some plays. Definitely improved. Very nice. What's up, Bear? Sorry I missed part of the show, but under the weather. Troy Gill, I'm sorry, brother. Feel better soon. Question, who is our best cover safety by talent, and who is our best cover linebacker by talent? Well, we don't know now because we've moved our two best starting linebackers. So as far as linebacker, we don't know. Now, as far as safety, we let go of Trayvon Merrick, and I would have said Trayvon Merrick was the best cover safety we had, and the best cover nickel that we had was Nate Hobbs. And so we've lost two crucial positions because not only do we have to replace them, but they were two of the best players that we had at that position. So we've come to expect good play there. So we're going to have to look for someone, or possibly even look to free agency and a veteran that can bring that to us right away. But I think Jeremy Chin is going to hide a lot of that for us. He's going to get around. He's going to work with whoever the other safety is, and I think it's going to be interesting. Is it me, or should Mitchell Renz give you credit tomorrow when he cherry picks your report on his show? I could be crazy, but Raider Bear deserves his props. Chris Strong, what's up, brother? Welcome to the show. Now, first, I've met Mitchell Renz, and so I want to say, from having met him in person, he's a nice guy. Now, I know a lot of people have beef with him, and I'll be honest with you, I did too at first. When I first started watching his show just to see what he was like, because I started doing my show before I even knew who he was. And it wasn't because he wasn't big. I just wasn't the type that watched a lot of podcasts. So I found out Mitchell Renz was real big. I went to go look. Him and that guy, Boots, the one with all the wavy hair, and he calls himself Boots. So I've seen Boots too. I'll give you my Boots in a minute. But I met Mitchell Renz, but before I'd met him, I didn't like him very much. He cussed a lot. He told some of his viewers sometimes to, do this to him, and, called his viewers soft if they didn't like his take. And I was just like, wow, man. I mean, he seemed to be really, aggressive with his audience. And it wasn't always guys that were trolling him or hating on him. He would just kind of someone would just basically say, I don't really agree with you, bro. I'm an old school Raider fan, and I'm telling you, I just don't agree with that. And he would go, well, I don't expect soft fans to agree with me. Wow. And you see me, I'm saying it live on my show. I'm not trying to drag the guy. I'm saying out loud, he's a good guy. He really is. I met him. He seems very nice. We talked for a little while. I had a drink with him outside of this bar. They were doing an event in Texas with the Raider Nation Booster Club, and he, I mean, don't get me wrong, he wasn't hugging me or anything, but I mean, he was a good guy. He knew who I was. He made note of that. He complimented me. I'm not going to say what he said, but he complimented me on how I do my show and stuff like that. And he said some real things that I could tell that he did watch me. You know what I mean? But I don't think it's to get my stuff. I think it's just because he wanted to see what I was about to. Tired of getting veterans that are hurt already. Kim, I agree with you about Steven Shaw, and I owed you one. Steven Shaw, one of my other benefactors here at Raider Bear Family Page. Appreciate you, brother. Solomona Milo, what's up, Bear? All the way from New Zealand. I love you. Appreciate you. New Zealand. I've always wanted to go there, and I'll prove that I mean that. I know that a lot of Lord of the Rings movies were filmed there, and I know a lot of those houses that they built into the hills, those like Shire homes, they're still there. I know they're owned by people now, but I mean, they made some of them for the films, and they were made so well, people ended up moving into them. At least that's what I heard. That was quite a long time ago with Lord of the Rings, so I don't know what the status of them is now. Maybe they got turned into Airbnbs, but I've always wanted to see that, you know what I mean? Always wanted to see that. But honestly, I hope it's an Airbnb thing so that I can just rent it. I hate it when a house becomes famous, you know what I mean? And then strangers feel like they can go up to your door and knock on your door all day, like your house is an amusement park now. Remember, I lived in Modesto for a long time, and that's where the Scott Peterson murder was. And the Scott Peterson murder was real big news, and there was cameras around all the time. His house was, just blocks away from mine, so I would see it all the time, and I would also see now years later after it was over, there were people that were still going to the door and knocking on it like with a big smile on their face to like look at whoever owns it now and go, could I see the house? Could I see the backyard? Could I look for more evidence? Don't ever knock on my door again, ma'am. People were getting weird. Bear, where are you an Aaron Rodgers fan in college? Ramiro Castro, I have to admit that. I don't feel like Aaron Rodgers became the super massive douchebag that he did until he was in the NFL. I don't. Because you never saw it at Cal. Every time he won a game, he interviewed, he seemed like a nice guy. My pocketbook and not a real tailgate party. I was born in Hayward, Raider fan for life. Right on, Kim. Right on, Kim. And yeah, Kim, it was that for me too. I don't floss. Okay, I'm the realest Raider fan on a podcast. I'm never gonna tell you, oh yeah, I'm so rich. You know what I mean? No, I'm not. No, man, I'm not. You know what I mean? I have kids. I have bills. You know what I'm saying? If I can go to a Raider game, I'll go. But it's a decision I have to make. I can't just buy tickets. You know what I mean? I don't rock like that. I got that nice big truck, and I got those nice bikes. I have 4 e-bikes, and I have this big house. I moved into Arizona, so I'm doing good. But I can't just be spending, $1,300 on Raider tickets. And before you say they don't cost that much, remember I got to park, and I got to pay for the hotel, and I got to drive out there on gas, and it all adds up. You're up close to $2,000. If you're the person that has like a big truck, or you bring in a lot of friends. Whatever the case may be, it's expensive. Not trying to talk anyone into not going. I'm just saying, I feel you, girl. That's really why I don't go. Daryl Kane, what's up? Welcome to the show. I want Jackson Dart. He has the it factor. I've heard that, Daryl Kane, and I also liked when he showed up to the combine that he had cut his hair. I know that sounds like nothing, but you notice Quinn Ewers did it too. But almost all of the other quarterbacks I saw looked exactly the same as when they were playing in college. I liked that some of the guys got a real tight haircut, which to me is a statement without saying something that, hey, I'm here on business. I'm treating this like it's a business interview. I'm walking in with my resume. I've got my tie on, my red power tie with my blue suit. I've got my hair whipped back nice. Got a pair of, power glasses on, looking good, some aviators. Set them down, give a good handshake, and sit down and try to win that interview with that manager. Get a job. See, to me, you're saying all of that when you get that nice groomed haircut and you come in and you're all business. I don't know how many of you remember, but just to support my argument, look back to Brock Bowers. Look at his combine. Never pumps his chest. Never laughs or smiles, never overreacts. Everything was robotic. Just get in line, run a drill. Get in line, run a drill. Get in line, run a drill. Gatorade, towel off, head home. That's it. No hype, no jewelry, no doing interviews with a big smile on his face because he knows he's going to be rich in a few days. No, he was all business. You know what I mean? And I saw that from Quinn Ewers, and I saw that from Jackson Dart. And I think there's a chance that at least 4 of these 11 or 12 quarterbacks, at least 4, I think could become starters real quick. What's up? It's the Mama Bear. What are you doing over there, girl? Looking all red and fine and stuff.
I was going to tell you, my brother just shared with me.
Oh, nice.
The guitarist from Slayer.
Okay.
Gary Holt.
He's a R8RBEAR fan? I knew it.
He's a Punks for Autism fan.
Oh, nice. Don't forget Punks for Autism. That's one of the charities we work with. And our brother, my wife's brother and my brother-in-law, but I love him to death, so he's just my brother, have been working with and started Punks for Autism. Go check it out. They have exclusive art from artists all over the world, and they make shirts that they don't make for anyone else. It's exclusive art. So when you buy their shirts, it goes toward autism research, and you're buying something you're never going to bump into somebody else wearing, and it's super cool art. Mama Bear, go!
Yes, so 100% of the proceeds go to autism research and goes back into the community to help programs for autism in Southern California, in San Diego and Santee. And so this guy, Gary Holt, is the guitarist from Slayer, and he follows Punks for Autism. And my brother reached out to him, and they talked for a little bit. And basically, my brother's sending him some shirts, and the guy has like over 500,000 followers, and so he's going to rep Punks for Autism for him.
I always get one, because when they get new artists like that, I always get one.
He lives in like some little, just a little shithole town right next to my dad.
And,
Meadowbrook or something up by Auburn.
Right.
He lives there. I'm like, why would it has like maybe
he's real. Ask yourself, how many times have I said to you, if we became billionaires, am I going to buy some massive mansion and suddenly buy boats and 15 cars? No, that's not my way. I would rather have that money and spend it on you and our cousins. You know, make sure your dad lives like royalty until he goes. You know what I mean? I would want him to have 4 nurses that are actually strippers, and they just pretend to be nurses to, help him through his day. I would do that.
You're bad.
I'd be a cool rich person. I'm not Elon Musk. I don't roll like that.
Is it going to be a nurse with a happy ending?
Hell yeah. What do you think? I'm a man, aren't I?
Oh my God. On that note.
You saw where I was going? Mama Bear saw where I was going. She sussed me out. All right, that's my show. Much love. Shout out to our armed forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, National Guard, Space Force. For all you do, the energy and love of this show is dedicated to your sacrifice, active and veteran. Much love. Appreciate you all tuning in. Check me out tomorrow, R8RBEAR family page. And with that, subscribe. I love you, and I'm out.